So I've come to site number 4 on my little stop-off tour of 82nd Airborne Division related sites in the Leicestershire area, and I've come to what is now known as Leicester Airport, but during World War II it was RAF Leicester East, and in August 1944 it played host to a major parade that was attended by Ike himself, General Eisenhower, that included every member of the 82nd Airborne Division, as well as representatives of the 5 troop carrier groups of the 52nd Troop Carrier Wing who were billeted locally. As you can see, it's still a pretty active airfield, so I'm sticking to the car park. The original watch office, control tower, is still here. A couple of other original buildings, including that white one there, and of course those who know their airfields know that black building back there is an original T2 hangar, which at various points of the Second World War would have housed some pretty big aircraft, 4-engine bombers of the RAF. I don't think it was actually used for an awful lot at the time when the parade took place, which, if I remember my dates correctly, was the 10th of August 1944. So the reason for the parade was basically a parade. It was Ike's opportunity. He did the same with the 101st Airborne Division. Ike's opportunity to thank the 82nd Airborne Division for their combat to date. Now, a rumour had spread at the time amongst the 82nd from somebody within the division that Ike was going to be sending the division home for a unspecified length of time, in order for the guys to rest, and in some cases for those who had been in quite a bit of combat, so those of the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, for example, who'd already made 3 jumps and had fought in Sicily, Italy and Normandy, to rotate them out of the division and give them jobs within the division, within the zone of interior, that essentially meant that they were safe from any further combat. So you can't quite see the main runway on the camera, I don't think, but if you were stood here with me, you'd be able to see it. The guys of the 82nd in their entirety, including actually the 507th, who were at the time still part of the division, but a few weeks later were detached from the 82nd, made a part of the 17th Airborne Division, were all here. So in total there were 5 infantry regiments here, as well as all of the individual sub-units of the division were here doing the parade at the time. There was around about 250 to 300 representatives of the 52nd Wing groups. So each group had about 300 guys here present as well, particularly aircrew that had operated, that had flown the aircraft on D-Day, were present, representing the groups. So as I say, there was a rumour spread that Ike was going to be sending the 82nd home. He read out a message via a tannoy, and had all of the members of the 82nd and the 52nd Wing 52nd Troop Carrier Wing all crowded round the bandstand where he was doing his speech, and he started with directed mainly at the 82nd. I have asked a lot of you guys in the past, at which point I can imagine the excitement levels rose. Here we go, Ike's sending us home, and followed it with, I will expect a lot of you guys in the future. And as we now know, just over a month later, they were jumping into the Netherlands as part of Operation Market Garden. As the story goes, there was the thunderous sound of thousands of helmets hitting the tarmac of the runway at the same time, as the realisation suddenly hit that Ike wasn't sending them home. Apparently it was a blisteringly hot day, and the guys were in their Class A uniform, so wool jackets, and you can imagine that most of them probably were sweating buckets on the day itself. There was also a second purpose for the parade, and that was to announce to the division and to the 52nd Troop Carrier Wing the formation of the 1st Allied Airborne Army. Lewis Brereton was present, and obviously he was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General to command the 1st Allied Airborne Army, and also the 82nd Airborne Division was informed that Matthew Ridgway was being promoted to command the 18th Airborne Corps, and that James Gavin was being promoted to, or would later be promoted to, Major General and to the command of the division itself. I doubt very much there was too many protests about Gavin being made divisional CO. He'd proven himself a very good regimental commander. He'd proven himself to be a pretty decent divisional XO from his exploits in Normandy, but as we've discussed over the last few weeks, perhaps didn't quite have what it took, or it was too early in his army career to be a divisional CO. He made a few mistakes in terms of the decision making side of things, whereas actually he proved himself to be more of a upfront leader of men, as opposed to having to make the big decisions about what a division was capable of doing or would do in a combat situation. So yeah, that's site number 4, and again, if anyone wants to come and visit, there is a flying club here. They're relatively okay as long as you stick to the car park. This is RAF, what formerly RAF Leicester East, Leicester Airport, otherwise known as Stoughton Aerodrome, on the southeast side of Leicester, where on August 10th 1944 there was a large parade here with the 82nd Airborne Division, 52nd Troop Carrier Wing, attended by Eisenhower.